Hey, what's good, good people? It's Jay Glass, the movement, sitting in with Mr. Antonio Alexander. Rounds of applause for you real quick. Yeah, let me give you that. Let me give you that. You deserve
Yeah,
that for multiple different reasons, right?
yeah,
Uh,
thank you.
you're welcome. But thank you for volunteering to be a guest on the Family Bloodline Podcast Platinum Guest Series, and it was almost like a spur of the moment type of deal. And I think you and I have something in common, sir. We have both recently retired from the United States Army. As
Yeah,
yeah. So again, another rounds of applause for you for that. Let me give you that. 'Cause, that's huge.
yeah, that's a long battle.
Absolutely. And so, without further ado, let me let you hop in. I'll give you the big screen, um, so that we can start essentially extracting some of the things that uh you've done throughout your career. So introduce yourself and tell everyone who will be watching this where they might be able to reach out to you at in the event they have questions for you in the future.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Antonio Alexander. I'm a retired Sergeant First Class of the United States Army. Um, I only get on TikTok. I mean, I get on Facebook too, but you're not gonna be able to find me. My TikTok is Ranger Wanda, um, the number one DA, or the Black Ranger. That's probably the easiest way you're gonna be able to find me is the Black Ranger. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, perfect. So let's hop into your career a little bit. Tell us a little bit about not just the army part of it. What were you doing? How old were you when you enlisted?
So I was 18 when I enlisted. I turned 19 while I was in basic training. So I'm from New York. I'm from Harlem. So growing up there, I went through early 90s Harlem, New York City trials and tribulations. So New York City wasn't the place where I needed to be. I needed to get out of there. The easiest way to do that was join the army. I joined. I think I signed up probably January of 2005, and I had to wait because I was arrested as a minor a few times, so I had to wait. Then I came back in April. They put me on quick ship. April 5th is the day I got to Fort Benning. April 6th, I started basic training.
Oh wow. Wow. So you had graduated high school, I'm assuming.
No, 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 no. I got my GED.
Okay.
So,
Cool. So
between 2004 and 2005, a lot of stuff went downhill. So rather than not graduating high school, I spoke with my grandmother, let her know what my intentions were. She said she didn't agree with it at the time because we were high in the GWAT.
yeah.
But it probably was the best opportunity and best way for me to get out of New York City. So um, once I decided that I was gonna get my GED and everything, I think I went in December, took the GED exam. I got the results back in January. Took that, went straight to the recruiter's office.
Wow. So just for those who are listening, GWAT, the acronym stands for Global War on Terrorism. And so there was a period in the Army uh, and during the time of the Army where a lot of the soldiers who ended up joining was during that campaign. And that was a lot of rapid deployments back and forth to Iraq and some fronts in Afghanistan. But it was a global war on terrorism, and it was one of the things that was kicked off by the Bush presidency, weapons of mass destruction, so on and so forth. And we didn't get to see an end of that until not too long ago under the current president of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of background. So again, your motivation for joining the army in the first place was to get out of New York and figure something else out. I'm
Yeah,
getting.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I was doing a lot of stuff I shouldn't have been doing. It took me, I think I was arrested 4 times before I realized like this isn't going to work for me.
Mm.
So, I mean, I got lucky. None of them were felonies. Everything turned to be misdemeanors. So, it wasn't hard for me to get accepted to the army.
Yeah. So tell me about your realization and your interaction and your engagement in basic training in 2005 at Fort Benning. Talk about that a little bit. How was that
Uh,
experience?
So it's crazy because I got a battle buddy, like literally my roster number battle buddy from basic training. We were just talking about this the other day because he's still in. He's a sergeant major now. Um, so we were having. I remember getting to Fort Benning. My expectations. It's the Army. Like it's supposed to be tough. I played a lot of sports growing up. I was always outside. My grandmother didn't really let us sit in the house all day, so I was always outside. So I was very athletic. So getting to basic training, and I think that the drastic change came from I felt like I was a grown man. There's a lot of these other grown men there, and I think my drill sergeants weren't young; like they were like well-aged men into their military career. So I probably want to say the youngest one was about 30, if that. So these are seasoned guys. I'm trying to get into what they're into. My mindset was, in order to make it, I got to kind of let this just rock out. Like I got to let it happen. There were people who wanted to fight against the grain, but like you didn't join the army to fight against the grain. You came here to listen. Um, and that was my mindset going into it because I'm sure I could have fought. You hear it all the time. Oh, the drill sergeant cursed at me, so I told him square up. Yeah,
Yeah.
boy, dude, it sounds good, but the reality is that dude will probably beat you up, and then
Right.
it's not going to be just him. It's going to be a couple other people that's going to come over and help. So yeah, I got there. Being infantry, I knew I did a little bit of research before I got there. So I talked to them, figure out what infantrymen do. And I was like, yeah, even if I tried to fight these dudes, there's no chance that I'm going to fucking win this fight. Excuse my language. Sorry.
No, it's an adult show. You can cuss.
All right. All right. So, yeah, I just got there and it was just like I had a Forrest Gump moment. Whatever you tell me to, drills are. So I just went with that.
Yeah.
It was that or go back to the block. And I wasn't trying to go back to the block.
That was not going to be your option. So moving forward a little bit, you already kind of gave up a little bit of what your MOS was, 11 Bang Bang, I'm guessing, right? 11 Bravo.
No, I'm
Infantryman.
11 Charlie. My secondary MOS is 11 Bravo. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What induced you to go 11 Charlie?
So I actually didn't choose 11 Charlie. I was an 11 X-ray. So I kind of remember getting the MEPS, talking to the person that sits down with you to go over your line scores for your ASVAB and all that stuff. And he's like, the first question he asked me is like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And immediately I was like, "I want to blow shit up." You know, being young, you think about the army, you just want to blow shit up. So we sat there for a bit, and he tried to convince me to be an engineer. And after talking with him and finding out that there's two different variants of engineers, right? Like there's the engineers that actually build, and then there's the engineers that blow shit up. So it was just like, well, I don't want you to send me to be an engineer, and it turns out I can't be the one that gets to blow stuff up, you know.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Well, what else do you want to do?" I was like, "I want to go special forces." So he was like, "Oh, okay. There's no special forces slots available, but I got an easier way for you to get there." And I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "Infantry." He's like, and I asked him, I was like, "What does infantry do?" He's like, "Hey, they're the guys on the front line. They're the guys on the ground." I was like, "All right, yeah, that's what I want to do."
Wow.
Yeah.
So explain a little bit the difference between 11 Charlie and 11 Bravo.
Okay, so an 11 Bravo is your general ground grunt. They're just the guys that walk around everywhere. Maybe they're in strikers, maybe they're in tanks, maybe they're in airborne units. But those are your just riflemen, your everyday riflemen. And 11 Charlie isn't a rifleman, but we also have our primary MOS, which is mortars. So it's a tube. You put a massive size round down this tube. There's three different variants. There's a 81 millimeter, a 120 millimeter, and a 60 millimeter. And it's for indirect fire support. So like for when field artillery isn't available, they use mortars. We're significantly better than field artillery now.
No shade though, right? Hey, degrees is a breeze, meals kills.
Yeah.
So now that you've gotten through basic, what was AIT like? What was that experience like, and how long was it?
Yeah, so it's just OSUT, right? Like for infantry engineers, we just go through OSUT. Even I think CAV goes through OSUT as well. So everything was at Fort Benning. I was in the same unit. Back then, OSUT for infantry was just 16 weeks, right? You get there, The first day you're there, you do the bag drill. They go over some admin stuff, and then before that night's over, you're handed a rifle. Like here's your rifle. This stays with you the rest of the time while you're a basic. So the first 9 weeks is kind of like your basic training portion of OSET, right? And that's when you do your weapons qual. Back then we had advanced rifle marksmanship that we did as well. You get accustomed to foot marches, learning how to walk under load. You start doing back then just the APFT, push-ups, sit-ups, run, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So every morning you're up at 4:30. You're getting your bed clean, making your bed, doing your hygiene. You're outside in formation at 5. At 6, you're saluting the flag, going out and starting your PT up. Then PT's done, drill sergeant's in your face the entire time, nonstop. There's always a drill sergeant in your face.
Always a drill sergeant.
So those 9 weeks kind of like were a blur. Like they just flew by because it was training event after training event after training event. It was just nonstop. And then once you get to your AIT or your advanced tactics, it was literally just basic battle drills. For us mortars, like we would do all the stuff with the 11 Bravos because back then it was mixed. It was 11 Bravos and 11 Charlies in the same company. So we would do all those weapons calls with them. So 50 cal, Mark 19, 249, 240. But then we had an additional week where they went and did something completely different. I still don't know what they did. But we went out to the mortar square and literally did basic mortar gunnery. And then at the end of the week, we did a mortars gunners exam.
Okay. And so when I first joined the Army, I went on what's called the delayed entry program because I decided to go reserves. So you went active duty right out the gate?
Yeah, right out the gate. I don't think National Guard reserves would have been a good option for me because it would have put me right back where I didn't want to be at. I remember like going home after basic training and seeing all the people back still doing the same thing that we were doing when I left, 16 weeks ago. And at this point, they had already they're all graduate. They graduated high school. I started in April. I ended in August. They're still there. And I'm like, well, you guys didn't go to college. Like, what's the point? So, and then as the years progressed after that, I continuously saw a lot of those same people doing the same thing. So yeah, no. I definitely had to go active duty. I needed to get away from New York City completely.
Yeah, that's good. And so for those who are listening, again, just a little bit of a background. There are 3 different components encased in the Army. You have the active duty component, which is federal. You have the reserve component, Compo 3, which is federal. And then you have the National Guard component, which is Compo 2, which is state unless they are called up to Title 10. Title 10 makes them federalized, but that's another story for another time. So pushing forward, so you do your basic, you do your AIT, and now you're at your new unit.
Yeah. It's funny. So I remember it like it was yesterday. Our entire company is like getting their orders and stuff, and majority of people are going Hawaii, Alaska, places like that. I get Fort Drum, right back to New York. Yeah, me and my battle buddy, we ended up in Fort Drum, New York. So basic training is over. I got to do the 2-week hometown recruiting. I took the bus from New York City to Watertown. It was easier to do than to fly into Syracuse. So I take the bus. I get off in Watertown. There's a soldier at the bus station as well. And he's like, hey, are you in processing? I'm like, yeah. So they put us in a van. They take us to Clark Hall, which is the in processing building for Fort Drum. We get there and immediately, back then they still had replacement units. I think they're starting to bring replacement units back. But you get to your replacement unit, and your replacement unit is just there to help you in process the installation, not your battalion, not your unit, just the installation. So I get there. We're going through our in processing of the installation, having a good old time. Meeting new people. It's me and my battle buddy. And then they take me to my battalion, and I was in a 214 HHC. So I was a battalion mortar for 2nd Battalion, 14th Infantry Regiment in 2nd Brigade in New York. And they had just got back from a deployment. So I kind of was like the replacement of the soldiers that were either lost overseas or freaking got out after they came back. Because I know a lot of people were stop loss at that time.
Yeah.
Um, I I thought it was great. Like I got there. It wasn't fully cold yet, but it was cold. Um, I I got to meet my squad leaders, and immediately they were like, "Oh yeah, we just got back from deployment, so everybody's on leave." So for like a month and a half, I'm in this new battalion, but there's nobody there. It's just a bunch of like new kids, a few NCOs, and I'm kind of like, oh, if this is what the Army's like, I can do this all the time. Like
Yeah.
I haven't really met my actual leadership yet, so it's just like the dwindling people or the people that stayed behind or new guys. So it wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty nice for about a month and a half, and then once everybody got back, I got the real deal.
Ah, yes. So how long were you out of drum?
So I was a drum for 6 years.
Whoa! How did
Yeah.
that?
So the first like my first contract was a 3-year contract, and after being in my unit for a while, I realized that like the unit I was in was solid. Now I always say like it could be because I was a Joe and I didn't have any like cares in the world,
Yeah.
so everything was like laid out for me. But I love that unit. Like I trusted my leadership, I trusted my squad leader, all the way up to the battalion commander. All those people were trusted, right? I had great representation of what NCOs look like.
Mm.
Um, I had great officers. Like it was just an overall outstanding unit. And I think it's just because of the first unit I've ever been in. I always use that as the basis for what how I gauge other units. Um, but I'm there for. I think we were there for about 8 months before we went on deployment. We go on deployment. Soon as like I think I'm in country for 2 or 3 days, they made me a squad leader, so they gave me my own gun.
Oh,
Um,
ranking, you're getting responsibility.
I was E4 too, right? So they gave me my own gun. I got my own squad, and we're just hard charging, getting at it. And for the life of me, I was like, I could do this forever.
Mm.
And so I re-enlisted for 3 years, and I decided to stay at drum. And I was like, I could stay at drum. That won't be that bad. Well, I think I re-enlisted for 4 years. That would have took me out to 7, but I decided to just stabilize at drum because again, the unit I was in was very solid. So I didn't really see myself wanting to leave that organization.
That's interesting. So during that time, did you come in contact with any good mentors, new mentors, good leadership, bad leadership? I know you said for the most part it was a solid unit, but
Yeah. So I don't. I have met bad leaders there, but it was easy to decipher who was a bad leader and who was a good leader. It wasn't like there was a small thing that made him a bad leader or a lot. Like it was always large, right? Like it was always something drastic. But I had phenomenal leadership. My first squad leader, like one of the very first things he did for me was he took me down to the education center and was like, "Hey man, enroll in school now."
mm,
So we went down to education center. I enrolled in college, and I continued that until I retired. But so I enrolled in college. Um, he was back then. We did you did inspections prior to first formation, so I'd get woken up every morning. My squad leaders at the door, like, "Hey man, you ready for room inspection?" I'm like, this is where I live, man. Like, this is what you want to do. He's like, "This is what we do every day." So every day, I'm up standing by my room door waiting for inspection. He was clear, he was concise, and he cared. Like that. That's something that we look for back then as soldiers, so that we know. That way, we know if we ever do go down to combat, I know I can look at this guy. He's going to have my best interest at heart. Even if he tells me go kick that pile of rocks, there's a reason why he's doing it. So yeah, I had great leadership.
I'm glad to hear that. That's awesome. So let me get this question out before we go too much further.
Yeah.
As a black man in the Army, do you recommend our culture at this point in history, we continue to enlist, or do you think we should kind of taper it back a little bit, or what is your take on that?
That's a great question. I like this. All right, so right now, right, like I tell people this all the time, like the army is dwindling in a direction where I mean, based off of what we've seen, right? Like everybody see it. It's even in society. The army's always been the social experiment for the US, right? They've always been that. So right now we're at a point where you can be extremely successful in our culture, right? There's minor things you gotta like change in order to fit into what the army expects you to be as a professional. Um, but nah, hell no. I don't think us, I don't think we should should enlist at all. Like go to fucking college, go get you a degree. If you going to join, go to officer route. If you are going to enlist, go to National Guard, be in college while you're there, go to officer route, get paid for all the bullshit that they're going to put you through.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I understand. I know exactly why you're on that point. So let's jump back into your career, and we can come back to that topic a little bit later.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
keep it in the back of your mind. I'm going somewhere with it. I promise.
Yeah.
So you did Fort Drum for 6 years, and you began to get rank, and then you start knocking out your PMEs, professional military educations,
Hmm.
uh, as well as college. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that work-life balance, how you were able to complete college, continue college, as well as make sure you maintain because you're gonna have to work. You gotta work. I don't
Yeah.
care what
Yeah.
they're gonna make you work.
Yeah.
You can try sham and do a little bit of shamming, but sooner or later somebody gonna find you out. You're gonna have to do some work. So how did that happen for you? How did you work out the details in order to be successful?
Yeah. So initially I was terrible at it, right? Like it was awful. And it was because I was trying to find that perfect balance between, having a family, being at work, going to school, doing all that. It was abysmal. Like I did so bad with it. I end up like I stopped going to school for probably about 5 or 6 years, and then I restarted again once I figured out that I don't have to worry about work nearly as much as serious as I was taking work, bringing work home and stuff like that. And I didn't need to do any of that. So initially, yeah, that was awful. But once I figured out the balance between if it's at work, it's at work. Leave it there. I can take if it's there at the end of the day, it'll be there tomorrow. Like so, understanding that although it came late in my career, like I had to get to a point to where I figured that part out first. Like
Yeah.
then once I figured that part out, everything was easy.
So
Like
what was the thing that kind of triggered that understanding of like work is gonna be work? It's gonna be there regardless of what I do.
my first divorce, she kind of told me like I didn't really pay attention to family enough. Like I didn't care about family. Like, being deployed, being away from home. Um, she kind of hinted like, hey, like even when you're at home, you're not at home.
Mm,
And so initially I was combative about it, because I felt like, oh, I have to work. Like I'm the one paying all the bills. I have to work. So I was combative about it. But yeah, once she divorced me, I was like, holy shit, dude, like this shit's got to get fixed. I can't continue this,
yeah.
so making time for them because, they moved away. So making time for my kids, as well as understanding that I still have to live a normal life. Like I can't be bringing work home and shit like that. So that was the differential for me.
Okay, good. That's awesome. Yeah, that's important. I've tried to while I was still instructing,
Mhm.
that was one of the things that I tried to express to younger soldiers. Like, listen, the army is going to be the army one way or another.
Mhm.
The trick is figuring out how to maintain yourself, your family, and those who are going to be there for you and with you after the army,
Yeah.
right? While you're still here, because the army is going to be going one way.
Mhm.
Regardless of what you do, you'll either retire or you'll leave the army, but you're still faced with your loved ones and those who supported you as far as you've gotten.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah, because that's the tough trick. That's something that I learned later on in life also, and had to go and took a divorce as well, trying to meet that hurdle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So, how many deployments have you done?
4. Yeah, 4 deployments. Yeah.
Okay, all to
So,
Iraq, or
no, 2 to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan.
all right. And those were at various points in your career, right?
Yeah,
So,
so I did a 15-month deployment in 2006, a 10-month deployment in 2009, a 9-month deployment in 2014, and another 9-month deployment in 2016.
so through those four different progresses of uh, deployments,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that you had different ranks during each deployment, or at least for at least two of them. What,
Yeah, I mean, almost every single. The last 2 are the same rank. Yeah.
yeah. So, what were the different learning points that you learned from theater, um, from the previous time that you brought back with you, or you took with you, or you shared with soldiers on how to be successful? Because as it looks like on your armband, you've got people that you hold in memoriam, your
Mhm.
wristband rather.
Yeah.
Not all soldiers make it back.
Right.
So what was the thing that kept you successful and kept you alive and kept you in the with the ability, holding the ability to take care of your soldiers while you were in a forward position?
Yeah. For the most part, I'm gonna say it's training, right? I tell people this all the time. Like my first firefight, I remember my first firefight because it was the first one, right? Like, I was scared. Like, I didn't know what to do. My first firefight in country, I don't know what to do, and I immediately looked at my leaders, right? And
Mm,
my leaders are doing exactly what we're trained. And he just yells that back. He yells back at me. He's like, "That direction, start shooting." Calm as day, no stress in his voice. And him doing that immediately took that fear out of me, you know?
yeah,
Um, and after that, it was just instinct. All the training we've done, everything we've done up to that point, um, I trusted my leaders. So me turning into that person was not a difficult thing, right? And I've always carried that with me throughout my entire career. Um, I want to emulate what my leaders were for me because
yes,
I had great leaders. I've had leaders that cared. I tell people, I just got done being the first sergeant at Jackson. I always told those guys, like, hey, when you get back out to the line, even while you're here, you're responsible for training your soldiers, but you also got to have soldier care, right? Because soldiers want to be able to trust you when they are in a difficult position, or they're not going to come to you with that information.
yeah.
So after that initial shock, it was just trusting in my leadership, trust that they're not going to put me in a position to where that could possibly happen. Because it's if it's your day, it's your day. There's
Yeah,
not there's not really much you can do about it. But if you walk around with that on your shoulders, you're gonna make everybody else is now uh and in at risk and in danger because you're walking around with that on your shoulders. So yeah.
that's awesome. So I'm bouncing back and forth a little bit, so just follow me.
Mhm.
There's a
Yeah.
progression.
Yeah.
Other points of your career, right? Once you finally leave drum, where do
Mhm.
you go after that?
Fort Benning again. Be a drill
Oh
sergeant.
man,
Yeah. Yeah.
you ain't catching a break, man.
No. I was a 23-year-old drill sergeant.
Oh man, talk about being on a trail.
It's demanding, right?
Yeah.
Like it was back then. It was extremely demanding. And within the regs, there was a set time limit that you had to be at work all day.
Mm,
So in red phase, it was 04:30 to 23:30 in front of soldiers the entire time. Like nobody left before 23:30, and then gradually it tapered off as you moved up in phases. But I don't know. That being a drill sergeant is probably the first time I really figured out like I love training soldiers and I love teaching soldiers. So like that was the first time I was like, oh, I could be an instructor if I needed to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say 04:30 for to be in front of soldiers, what's that prep time? Because you still got to get up. You
Yeah. Yeah. So
you still
uh,
got to get yourself together, and
yeah.
even 20 after 23:30, you finally got to get home, and now
Mhm.
you got to plan and be able to properly rest for the next day as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
through
So
that.
me and my wife at the time, we had a thing because I didn't really get to see my kids really that much. The only time I got to see them were like cycle breaks, right? Like, or if I had like CQ and I had a day off, I would make sure that I spent that entire day devoted to whatever they wanted to do, whatever they needed to do. But for me, at the time, I left everything at work. Everything that I needed to do was at work. So I'd get up, I'd brush my teeth, I'd put my clothes on, my civilian clothes, and I'd go to work. And before any soldiers were awake, I was inside my office changing into PTs, and then I'd come out and would make sure they were up. We'd go out and do PT. We had showers in the drill sergeant office. We'd use those showers, and then you're just there all day. And then end of the night come, I go home. Hopefully, food's in the microwave. Get there, talk for a few minutes with my wife, and then I'm asleep because I got to get right back up at 4.
Yeah.
Right.
So you stayed on the installation that you were a drill sergeant at?
No. I lived out in Alabama.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you had to get up and still make a trek, beat everybody in.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, the soldiers didn't. The new soldiers didn't see you getting in there in civilian, so on and so forth. That is a long day.
Yeah.
That is a long day. How did you manage your stress through that process? If you can remember,
I don't like to I try to avoid stress, right? Like I smile a lot. I try to be joyous, but at the time it was my wife. Like I just unloaded everything on her. Like everything. At the end of the day come, if I had any stressful events, I just unload on her. We talk about it before bed. And that was the easiest way for me to do it. Like we'd have like during cycle break, we'd have events within our company and stuff like that. We can go talk shit with the other drills, have fun, have a few drinks, stuff like that. But for the most part, like there was nobody else. It was just to work, then home, work, home, work, home. We go on cycle break. Hey, maybe we could do something on cycle break with the family, but until then, we gotta wait. And it's about 16 weeks until that day comes.
Yeah. And so how did you because a huge part of our careers is actually our support channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you again balance that, make sure outside of cycle breaks or so on and so forth, what was your interaction with, I guess, expressing gratitude or appreciation or just acknowledging that support system?
Yeah, just normal things, sending messages in the middle of the day, let her know I'm thinking about her. Sending flowers at random points, send candy home, gifts, buy gifts. If I'm on lunchtime, I'd probably make a phone call home, check to see how she's doing, things like that. Just stuff to let her know that, yeah, she's appreciated for all the stuff that she has to go through as well. Even though, she's not putting a uniform on, she's still living the same life that I'm living,
Yeah. And again, that's just one of the points that I've always tried to press. So for all future soldiers or soldiers who are currently in and young, or even older soldiers right now, I think it's always a perfect point and a perfect time to say, make sure you show your support channels the proper gratitude and respect that they are actually giving you while you are performing your duty to your country, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, especially with y'all being out there on a trail, and Lord knows if something happens to one of the recruits and shit starts going left, now your 2330 turns into 01.
Yeah. You gotta remember we was out in the field overnight a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, exactly. That's another point. Sometimes not even being home for a week, 5 days at least.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not making it back to the house because you're out in the field, you're bivouacking essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot. So thank you for being the drill sergeant. That was one of the things that I always wanted to do but never got to do it.
Oh man, it's not all it kicked out to be, but it was good. I learned a lot about myself while I was there. So
yeah. So after your trail, after you took off the drill sergeant hat, do you still have your drill sergeant hat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got both of them.
Okay, awesome. So what did you end up doing after that? Once you got back to a unit, back out to the field?
I went out to Carson. Went out to a cavalry regiment in Carson. That was a pretty good time. Did 2 deployments. I was there for 3 years and did 2 deployments.
Golly.
Yeah, we really didn't. We really wasn't home that much, but it was a good time though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So were you embedded with any special forces outfits or?
No. I took over the squadron mortars out at Fort Carson. We did a lot of cross training with regimental groups and stuff like that. Um, one deployment, we didn't get to do any like mortar related stuff. It was mostly FA that got to fire, so they did majority of the firing. So we just conducted patrols. The next deployment, we were base defense because we were inside of a city. So all we did was work with the other 2 countries that was on this installation with us and make sure the base was secure.
Okay. And that's even in, so what I told people after my deployment experience was saying that you had a good deployment experience in a combat zone. Only people who've been to combat zones and say that they've had a good deployment experience understand what that phrase actually stands for and what it means.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah, I mean, because like you're not talking about being in Kuwait or Qatar or things of that nature. You're talking about literally being in a combat zone. You're not hanging out at Camp Buren. And this is respect to those who have been who got those locations when we were at war. I'm jealous.
For sure. I tell my buddy that all the time. I got a buddy that was he was S1 in my first battalion when I was at 214, and he was always on Camp Liberty and hanging out. And we used to just get refits to go back. You know, every once in a while you get a refit. And he's from Texas, so one of the times the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders like they went to Iraq and they were at Camp Liberty, and I was out in sector the whole time, and I'm like, dude, you get to go to all of the MWR events. Like, I get to come back and maybe go to the shop at. Like, that's it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So yeah, shout out to everybody who's able to get those types of assignments and still get combat pay.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at you at all. Hindsight 2020. I wish I could have raised my hand and been like, nah, send me to F John or I'll hang out at Ali Salim or something like that.
Right.
That'll be my. So talk about as far as you can. Your deployment experiences. How much movement did you have? Convoy related movement, or even if you talked shortly about a firefight, but outside of that one, was there multiple movements of contact, or how were your deployments?
Oh, so I don't know. Maybe I'm a little like the Army has like psyched me out and tricked me, but like I don't really define any of them as like terrible deployments. I thoroughly enjoy firefights. You know, your adrenaline's high. As long as nobody's hurt, there's really not much that you could be upset with. It's kind of a kill or be killed situation. So
Literally.
as long as you make it out of it, there's nothing bad, right? No, there was plenty of firefights, plenty of vehicular movements. So a lot of the times the unit would use mortars for various things because we're either firing. So I remember my first deployment, I was on a hot gun, and hot gun is just like a 24-hour gun. So I would do 12 hours of manning this mortar tube, and then the other 12 hours I was on call for patrol. So if we needed to go out for patrol, they would, hey, we need a gunner, we need a driver, we need a TC, and I would just, here I am. Let's go do this. You know, my second deployment, we literally just did route clearance. 9 months of just route clearance. Very few firefights, but majority of it was route clearance. My third deployment, there were no firefights. Fourth deployment, no fire. By that time, everything was dwindling down, so there were no firefights either.
Yeah. what was you all's vehicles of choice? What were y'all riding in? What were your chariots?
First one was just Humvees.
Ah, no.
Yeah,
No.
that first one was just Humvees. It was Humvees are yeah, you know as much as I do. Humvees are brutal.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
longer you sit in them, the hotter they were.
Yep.
And I
Well,
was majority of that. I was in a turret, and it's before they had the nest built over the top of them. So we used to like cut up Hescos and like put them up there just so you could have some overhead cover. Um, yeah, Humvee's the first deployment, MRAP's the second deployment, and they were kind of nice. Then the third and fourth deployment, we really didn't do much movement. We would go out on patrols every once in a while, but not too many. But it was MRAPs again.
yeah. I I I learned how to, or I gained a strong appreciation for MRAPs. Strong appreciation for MRAPs, man. I sitting in the back of it is just ding ding. Like,
Yeah,
oh golly. Strong appreciation
yeah,
for things.
yeah. I mean, after riding Humvees for so long, yes, MRAPs became like they were the greatest thing that ever was made.
Yeah.
But then I got to ride in a JLTV, and I was like, why didn't we have this a long time ago?
I have never sat in a JLTV.
They're nice.
I'll
They're
take your word for it, man. I'm gonna take your word for it. So at this point, we're kind of midway through your career, right?
yeah. Yeah.
And so you get back and you finally pin 7. So I'm first class.
Mm-hmm.
What was your thought when you found out you were going to pin, and then when you actually pinned?
Um, I had a cocky moment initially. Um, I had this 1E7. I don't know why he didn't like me, but he did not like me. But I knew that there was nothing that he could do because I was great at my job, you know. Um, but for some reason, this dude just did not like me, and it could be because I was very confident in who I am, and I got to go to all the meetings, and he's sitting across the meetings from me, and I'm just like, why are we here? Like we just went over this stuff, right? Are we listening to the same thing over and over? But yeah, this dude just didn't like me. When I found I got pinned E7, I knew he had to stand in formation to watch me pin it on. I was I was extremely happy.
Correct.
Most people go to oh yeah, I made it. There's like really nothing that they could do to me outside of an act of Congress, which a lot of people don't realize isn't even true anymore.
Right.
But a lot of people get to that point and they're like, oh yeah, act of Congress. There's nothing you can do to me. I made it to a point to where people normally retire at. But no, yeah, mine was that I had a cocky moment.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So as a senior non-commissioned officer, right?
Mhm.
You take on new assignments, you take on new essentially bureaucracy, and like you said, the act. So you are an act of Congress, but you're not an act of Congress, right? It's
Yeah.
harder to it's harder for administrative actions to be placed on you and held and stick to you. It's
Mhm.
easier to move a senior non-commissioned officer to another duty station than what it is to actually have to go through the riffraff. Even with unless you get that GOMAR, right? That
Yeah.
general officer, right? And even with that just says that okay, you're probably not going to get promoted to master sergeant and above. You're
Yeah.
at your ceiling.
Mhm.
How much longer did you stay in after you pinned 7?
Um, uh, 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. 7 years.
Yeah. And so once you started to go down the other side, heading towards retirement,
Mhm.
what began to become your thought as you started staring at retirement and it became a real thing, and it to the point to where it's blaring at you and you're getting retired and you're going through the process.
Yeah.
What were you doing at that point in your career, and what were you thinking at that point?
So initially, when I got promoted to E7, that same month, I moved to Benning, to be a ranger instructor. So I'm still at a high point. I'm still like, all right, yeah, I can do this. This is the Army will be easy, for me from this point on. So I was a ranger instructor for 4 years, and then they sent me back to drum. I think it was that second time at drum that I was just like, yeah, I can't wait to retire. Like
Yeah.
as I look one, I realized like it's either me or like the leadership in the army is getting younger and
Mm.
they're losing common sense. Right? Like one of the five principles of patrolling is common sense, and a lot of the leaders I was looking at did not have any, or they were a me person, the guy behind the thumbs. That's all I care about. They're trying to figure out what can I do to protect myself rather than how can I make my soldiers better, or how do I show my soldiers I care more about them than I care about myself. Once I started seeing that was like circulating, yeah, there was no more room left for me in the army. So that was my tipping point.
Okay. And so as you slowly began, actually, let's go back for a second. Talk about Ranger School. Talk, how was that for you?
I I enjoyed Ranger School. I had
First,
a good
say that.
I had a good time, man. So I went in 2013, like as my time on the end of the trail was coming to. That's when I got to go to drill sergeant school. I mean, to Ranger School. So I had a very supportive chain of command. My wife at the time, she was extremely supportive as well. So I get to Ranger School, and it's Ranger School. It's like exactly what you expect Ranger School to be. Like we're gonna go over patrolling. We're gonna do all this other stuff. You're gonna be great. You just got to be there to do it, right? You getting no sleep, you get no food, you're gonna suffer. And I was just like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want. I mean, I had a blast. I learned more. I tell people this all the time. As long as you don't quit, you'll learn more about yourself than you
Mm,
will about any army tactic there is. Like, can you be successful after you've only slept for 4 hours for the last 2 weeks? Sometimes it wasn't even 4 hours, but can you take people that you don't see normally every day and be an effective leader
mm.
while you're tired, while you're hungry, and while your entire unit is just exhausted? And so you learn more about yourself at Ranger School than you do about anything else.
So what was your hardest part? What was the hardest part in your military career?
Um, the hardest part, I don't know. That's a good question. I've never thought about that.
Because I'll tell you mine. I was out at Fort Riley
Mhm.
and I was an OCT, Observer Control and Trainer. And we had at the time we called them client unit. We had client unit and we indexed the exercise early,
Mhm.
probably December 22nd, December 23rd, so that they could go home. My battalion commander at the time, he wanted to, in the MDMP process, he wanted to go back to the drawing board and begin to do the reassessment, right? And everybody's like, wait a minute. And I'm only E4, E5. I was E5 at the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at my leaders like, this guy wants to do what right now? Oh yeah, we're gonna call it a day and we'll be back here tomorrow. And we're gonna start the reassessment phase of it because I want to do some rock drills and I need a couple of sand tables and we need to actually go recon the lanes. Now at Fort Riley, it gets ridiculously cold in the winter.
Yeah.
And we were out up at I was doing convoy live fire at the time, so we're out up in the hills and high hills, and we're thinking like, no, we can't do that right now. First off, Post has called the roads to be black, and we had the permission to do training, but this is safe by no means. Why are we going to be doing this at this point?
Yeah.
And so he's talking, telling us what his plan is. Long story short, uh, I want to say the evening of the 24th, it finally comes out that we're going to be allowed to go home for Christmas. And I remember saying to myself, I don't give a damn what anybody say. I'm going home one way or another.
Yeah.
I was willing to risk it all just to be at home for Christmas. But so that was one of the toughest times in the Army that I had, just having that conflict. I didn't ask the Army for much
Mhm.
because I volunteered to get into it, but during these holidays, and also I think at the time he was going through a divorce and he didn't really want to go home.
Yeah.
Right, the
Kinda
command,
messed up.
yeah. So if he's suffering, everybody's got to suffer. And then he
Yeah.
always got this shit-eating grin while he was giving us bad news, delivering bad news, and trying to make us act like we should be motivated about the bullshit that he. Anyway, you know how I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know how that go.
Yeah.
But so that was one of my worst times. Just thinking back on stuff, what did you have anything similar to that, or?
I mean, yeah, we've all had those times, like I don't know. I've become like super resilient over the years, I've had those moments. I've had plenty of those moments. And maybe at the time I was like, this is dumb. But no, I can't necessarily point out, like, outside of, things happening on deployment, I can't necessarily point out one specific thing and just be like, this is probably the lowest point of my career.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad for you. I'm glad you never got there. That's awesome. But like you said, like the honest truth is, because that was just one of the different times, and I've gotten more, and I'm sure that if you really cared about it, you'd be able to say, no, during this time we had to do this, and this. That shit was so stupid because you're supposed to do blah 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 blah. But you actually hit the nail on the head, because that was leading up to my next point is resiliency. Through all of it, how did you maintain your resiliency, your frame of reference, your foundation, your grounding? How did you maintain that?
Prayer, support. Yeah. I think that's the biggest two things, is prayer and support. Without faith, we can't do anything. It's impossible to operate. But additionally, that support, like having that support be there for you when you need it. Being able to relieve stress through conversation, I used to go to the gun range a lot, just go shoot. I call my buddy up, be like, hey, like, I'm trying to go roll around. You want to go do some combatives? We'll go do some combatives, like stuff like that. Just things that help you relieve stress. That's pretty much how I maintain resiliency.
Yeah, that's good. And so now, well, let's because I don't want to. I got to make sure I stay balanced, right?
Yeah.
What's one of the high points of your career? What was one of the best moments of your career?
One of the best. I've had a lot of those as well, man. Like, I think. All right. So for me personally, when I graduated Ranger School, like that was probably one of the highest points in my career, and only because at the time. For E6s, 11 Charlie, there was only 72 across the entirety of the Army. 72 wow. E6, 11 Charlies with a Ranger tab, and I was one of them. So, I was pretty pumped about that. Plus, watching all of my, like, literally almost every single person that E7 and above that I met up until I became a drill sergeant had a Ranger tab. So I'm thinking, like, I thought that was a prerequisite for infantrymen. To make it in the Army is you got to have this Ranger tab. Now, granted, it's not a prerequisite. It's just something that's highly recommended.
Yeah.
But for me, like, that was a milestone, like, I watched all my leaders have this tab and watch how much it meant to them. And now I have one. Being a drill sergeant was pretty awesome as well. Like, graduating drill sergeant school, I was pretty pumped about that as well. Like, that was a pretty good moment for me as well.
Yeah. What are some of the things you wish you would have done while you were still in?
I don't know. For a while, I wanted to go to freaking SFAS. Never went. I probably should have. I've always been in really good shape. I don't know. I just let it get away from me. I continuously told myself, oh yeah, I'm going to do it then. I'm going to do it then. And I just never got around to doing it. So maybe that, if anything, that's probably the only thing.
Okay, that's good. All right, so now let's talk about you literally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And you're taking your pistols out the holsters and you're about to throw them in the water pail and wave goodbye to the formation.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? How were you feeling? And what were some of the first things that came to you?
So for me, it was about 18 months in the making. I'd sat down, I talked with my support channel. I was like, hey, look, like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, this is not the same army that I grew up in.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't think I have anything left to give,
Mm.
Um, we came to an agreement that that's exactly what was going on. I talked to my chain of command. I let him know. I was like, hey, look, like, I'm not focused on getting promoted. Like, I just went out. And so, he was like, okay, this is what we'll do. Can you sit in the seat for another 6 months? When that 6 months is up, we'll get your replacement and we'll send you over to the operation cell for the installation. That'll give you more than enough time off to, prepare yourself for retirement. I already knew I was going to do JROTC, so that was already in the works. I think I took some time to fly out to come to Texas and, kind of see what locations I wanted to work at, visit some of the schools and stuff like that. But I had time.
Yeah.
Them having a supportive chain of command that gave me time to prepare myself for retirement really helped me out. And then having a support channel that understood, like, yeah, I don't have anything left to give, and allow that to happen really worked out in my favor.
Yeah. Did you feel like you needed to start dumping all of the information that you learned out to younger soldiers or to the staff members or to your battles that were going to continue forward?
So
Or
yeah, I the first sergeant that took over for me when I left the seat, she was very intelligent, very smart. I think the only difference is, like, she never was a first sergeant for a basic training company. So dumping that on her as she came in, she took over. She was with my commander when she took over. So, talking her through understanding him. But the entire time I was a first sergeant, every single drill, mentored every day, told them what they needed to do to be successful when they get back into the army. Because I was taught, my leaders were soldier first leaders, so that's who I was. I was a soldier first leader. I didn't think there was much. Like, I always told my soldiers, like, there's not much they can do to me. Like, I'm
yeah,
in a good spot. I'm very good at my job. As long as I don't do anything blatantly disrespectful, or, as long as I don't hurt anybody, they're just going to be mad. That's the most they can do. But outside of that, like, I'm good at my job. There's nothing they can do to me. So you just tell me what you need and I'll make sure you get it.
mm,
So I've always been a soldier first type of leader. So yeah, the transition was great.
that's good, man. And how did your support channel, your support foundation,
Yeah.
once you got down, because 18 months is a long time. At
Hmm.
least we think it is when we're doing the transition. And then that 18 months turns into 9. And then it turns into 6.
Yeah.
And then 3.
Hmm.
Then you're looking at, man, I still got 8 weeks. Wait a minute. I'm not finished yet. I got a week left. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me process some stuff real quick. How did your support channel, how did you interact with your loved ones, with everybody who supported you? How did you interact with yourself? What was there any anxiety that was happening from that separation? And
So
how did you make sure you leaned on? Go ahead, express that.
yeah. I'm gonna be fully honest with you, man. I was probably like, I probably had a bunch of anxiety prior to, like, getting to the stage where I was at the unit, the operation cell for Fort Jackson, right? So up until that point, I was kind of like, all right, what kind of things am I gonna miss about the army? Like, am I doing the right thing? All that stuff. And then I don't know, everything just clicked one day, and it was just like, all right, start getting everything ready now. So when you retire, you have to worry about absolutely nothing. And so um, I think January of this year, I submitted my packet to be a JROTC instructor. Uh,
Mm,
I got that letter probably 2 months after that, so I knew I was going to be a JROTC instructor. Reaching out to schools in Texas, talking to them, um, finding out which schools had openings. I flew out. I did a few interviews, getting an acceptance letter from them, like getting a hire letter from a high school here in Texas. going to all my VA appointments, going like everything transitioned perfectly, and I had time to do it. That was probably the best thing the Army did for me. Was my sergeant major, who was also retiring, sat down, explained to me the process of getting out, and then gave me the time to do so. And so I've had a job lined up. I transferred over all my freaking my GI Bill to my kids. You know, I did my survivor's benefit plan. All I get on, October 2nd, just got to transfer over my VA stuff. My SGOV transfers over on October 2nd. Go get a new ID card. Everything's already taken care of. It's just a few clicks on a computer, and I'm all good. So it went extremely well compared to, because I kind of try to prepare myself for the worst, because a lot of people have told me how bad their transition was, but it did not go that way for me.
Man, that's great. I'm so happy it didn't. And my transition was different. I started med board. I ended up doing a medical retirement, but because of the amount of years that I had in, it ends up literally being a retirement and then medical also. But another story for another time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a pretty smooth transition. The only time I think I was really caught off guard was when I woke up that next morning. And I realized that I had closed the door on my career and there is no going back.
Yeah.
I kind of had that, what did I just do? type of moment.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Well, unfortunately for me, they did not 4F me. So if the Army ever wants to, they can call me back to service.
Oh man, you gotta. We're gonna have to talk about that. we gonna have to talk about that after I play the outro, because we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
That in a second. So how many years did you do total?
20 years, 9 months.
20 years, 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Spectacular career, sounds like. And you've gotten to a point. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
39.
Dope. That is dope. Now, the next question is, whenever and if ever you do go back to New York, this isn't speaking ill of anybody. This is just making do with the things you have and the decisions that you've made and paying consequences for good choices and bad choices. What are your counterparts doing now?
I don't know. I have no clue what they're doing now. I do not go back to New York. I only go to visit my uncle. He's old. He don't do, like, we sit in the house and we watch boxing. We have a few drinks. My aunt cooks. Like, I just go to visit family. I don't go there to hang out with anybody except for my uncle. My brothers live here in Texas. Like, there's absolutely nothing left in New York City for me.
Man, golly, good job.
Yeah.
No, seriously, man. Congratulations to you. There's for our culture, the military has been a platform of us being able to succeed and do not just for ourselves, but for our loved ones, those around us. And it's given us that platitude and opportunity from scratch, mind you, from scratch, right? Because we're not the recipients of or the beneficiaries of multimillionaires. At least I know I'm not.
Right.
You know? But you got yourself into a position to where your kids are going to be, and they are the beneficiaries of what could be a large inheritance. And you've established a legacy, and you've left a name and footprints for the places that you've been and your accomplishments and the things that you've done. So again, man, big shout out to you, bruh.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And you have the ability. What all are you going to do now? What you going to do with outside of JRTC? What else are you going to do?
Nothing. Travel. Nothing.
You finished your degree, right?
A lot of people. Well, I think a lot of people are starting to understand now, but JRTC instructors get paid very well,
Yes.
and then you still get some more
Yeah.
checks on top of that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't plan on doing anything. I started saving a while ago, like a long time ago. I got TSP.
Yep.
Like I've been waiting for this day forever, you know, like retirement was always on my mind. I never thought I'd work again, but once the opportunity presented itself, it's like, oh yeah, absolutely. I go work at a high school, you know, teach kids, help them become great leaders for this country as well. And then vacation, do all the stuff that I didn't have a chance to do, you know, like go all the places I didn't get a chance to go because I didn't want to take leave or they didn't
Mm,
give me enough time to do so. Like do all those things.
yeah, man. I hope you go everywhere.
Oh,
I,
I plan on it. And I'm taking my kids everywhere too. Let
so,
them do all the stuff that they did that I didn't get a chance to do while I was in service. I'm gonna do now.
yeah, that's great, man. And golly, I hope you live 1,000 years and you're able to do that.
I don't want to live 1,000 years.
I'm saying I understand your sacrifice, bro. Not being able to take leave to do stuff, missing out on birthdays, holidays,
Yeah.
special events. Golly, that part of the Army got old. But
Yeah,
man,
for sure.
damn, I'm so happy you made it out in one piece, bro.
Me too, man. Me too.
So
Me too, man. I swear to God, when my paperwork got signed and approved for retirement, I cried. I
yeah,
cried like a baby. I was so happy. Like I was so happy. And then I thought about my younger self, him joining the army and then making it to this point. I was like, I would have never made it to this day if I didn't join the army, you know? So
wow,
yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
man, you get that certificate of retirement with
Yeah.
the.
It doesn't have the signature I want on it, but
Sure, I'm with you. I got you. I'm with you. I'm picking
yeah,
up with you down.
it said retired.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so if there's anything that you can say to anybody thinking about enlisting, soldiers that are still currently in, and to our battles that are transitioning out,
Yeah.
what would you say to them? And I'll because on my podcast we do a final thoughts. So
Yeah.
what would be your final thoughts to them?
Oh, this is a good one. I love this one. All right. So if you're thinking about joining the military, you don't have to make it a career, right? The army is the perfect stepping stone for anybody trying to get out of whatever situation they're currently in. The army takes care of so much stuff for you. All you have to do is 3 or 4 years, and you might get a signing bonus coming in, you know, to help you take care of debt. As long as you do your 3 or 4 years, you'll get your GI Bill. All that stuff is great. You know, they have jobs in the army where it translates to experience because even though you might be in college, a lot of jobs want experience over, you know, having that degree. So the army doesn't have to be a career, it could be a stepping stone. Um, and you know, as you come in, just understand it is still the army. There are rules, there are regulations that you have to abide by. Play the game, drink the Kool-Aid.
Mm,
You don't have to do it forever, you know, like it doesn't necessarily have to be forever. As long as you get that DD 214 that says honorable at the end of your time, the rest of your life could be very easy. You know, people are coming in now, they stay in 3 or 4 years, they get 100% disability. Not saying that everybody's going to do that, but utilizing the army or any military branch as a stepping stone is a viable option for anybody thinking about coming in the military. For everybody that's getting out, if you can, talk to your chain of command and get time. Get time to prepare yourself for getting out. The most time you can get is going to be beneficial for you. You know, they changed the rules for E8 and above for if you want to go out and do CSP, the Career Skills Program. Um, don't utilize CSP if you don't have to, but 100% get the time. 100% try to get time. because that'll help you prepare. That'll help you make sure you make it to your appointments, get your financial stuff in order before you get out. All that stuff will definitely benefit you if you have the time to take care of it.
That's perfect. That's good. And so, again, I want to once again give you a round of applause for completing a successful career.
Thanks, brother.
Service to your nation, getting back out there and having time with your kids and traveling and all. Man, I just want the best for you, bro. I'm so happy. You got to do me a solid, bro. You got to come back and just give us an update on how you're doing and where things are going with your life and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to check in, because golly, man, I retiring has made it. I'm so grateful of everybody who's made it to this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for them. Again, so we know that it's the military is made up of less than 1% of the entire population, right?
Yeah.
And as I've also stated before, only 8% of those who enlist, and this is Army specific, I believe, only 8% of that 1% actually make it to a point of retirement. Not everybody makes it.
17% across all branches.
17% across all branches. Absolutely. So you're in an elite club. You are in an elite club, and man, proud of you.
It's funny because they tell you that throughout your entire military career, right? Like you're in this, you're part of this percent. I remember graduating drill sergeant school, and they're like, "You're in the top 10%." I'm just like, well, I don't feel like the top 10%.
Right.
Yeah.
But now you're in it, man, and you get to write your own story at this point. So it was all worth it.
100% worth it. My kids will benefit so much from it.
Yes.
That's the only reason why I did it. My kids.
Yeah. And that's what matters, man. That's really what matters at the end of the day. So hang around with me for a quick second. I'm going to play the outro, and then we'll talk. I got a couple of personal questions I'm gonna ask you in a second.
Yeah, all right, brother.
All right. So again, everybody, for the Family Bloodline podcast, the Platinum Guest Series with Mr. Antonio Alexander. And then we're going to put in bow legs, what we call them in the Army, or parentheses is what everybody else call it. Those three letters that mean retired. R-E-T.
Yeah.
Like one each, my man.
Yeah.
So give us 1 second and we'll be right back with you.